two, one. What is up, you guys? It is another episode of the Sci-Fly Zone, where the multiverse meets the seventh inning stretch. I'm Trenton, and this is CJ, and today's destination is taking us to somewhere that we haven't really been before. We usually do either Marvel or DC, but today we're doing something different. We're going to be combining the two, as me and CJ are going to be going over some potential team-up movie ideas for a Marvel DC crossover. So what we're going to be doing today is, if we got to have some sort of crossover movie and we got to pick one hero and one villain from both the Marvel and DC universe to team up with each other and go against each other in an epic crossover movie, that's what we're going to be doing today. And CJ is going to be leading us off.
Cool, so let's do it. So my first crossover is going to be the Young Avengers and the Teen Titans going up against Argus, Rick Flag Sr., and Green Goblin. So,
whoa, that's a lot going on, man.
There was a lot going on.
Man, I did like 2 guys versus 2 guys. You went like 10 guys versus 25 guys. That's incredible.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to work with here.
No, but tell us. I'm intrigued.
So, I mean, I feel like the hero team up kind of writes itself in a way. You know, we've got 2 young groups of heroes trying to like live up to the expectations and the names that the legends before them have already built, trying to like make their own path. And I mean, I think we could get some really fun interactions between these 2 groups. I think Wiccan interacting with Raven could be awesome. They could have some really good moments. I think Kid Flash and Speed kind of like work perfectly together. You know, Kate Bishop and Robin or Nightwing would be a lot of fun. Ironheart and Cyborg could be sick together. They both got some awesome tech. But basically how this works would be, one day Wiccan and Riri are just messing around with their powers, kind of like trying to fuse them together. Wiccan's
because Riri already likes to try and fuse magic together with tech anyway, so that's wow.
Genius. 100%. Yeah. So Wiccan's magic, Riri's tech, trying to get something going there. And it actually kind of works because they open up a strange portal randomly in the perfect shape of a regular door. And they're freaked out and paranoid about this, obviously. This would take place after Doomsday and Secret Wars. They're paranoid that they're going to lose even more after what happened in Doomsday and Secret Wars. And so they do the one thing that no characters in movies ever do. They open a random portal, and they actually don't go through it because they know that it's probably bad news. But when Rick Flag notices a random new door that wasn't there originally, that same room that had the door to salvation. So he gets very intrigued, and he sends Argus in. Obviously, he doesn't go in himself because that would be dangerous. He's going to send in the people that he doesn't care about.
Obviously.
So he sends in Argus, and they come back showing him evidence of magic and technology that they are not familiar with, that they have not seen before, and he immediately gets threatened. And so he actually decides that he's going to take matters into his own hands, and he goes in himself. And he walks through this door, and it leads to this house that the Young Avengers have been staying at. Nobody is there, so he's just walking around, making himself at home, being very comfortable. And he notices a newspaper on a couch, because these people are reading newspapers still for sake of the plot. And he sees a headline regarding Oscorp taking down or buying out another massive company, just to reduce the number of competitors he has, make himself more profitable, basic like billionaire stuff, you know what I mean? So he realizes that this man might have the resources to help him throw everybody that he wants into salvation with no trouble at all. So he calls Oscorp and tells them just enough information about Argus to solidify his reputation, but not enough to make himself a target, you know, or make himself seem like a threat. So he tells them that he loves what Mr. Osborn has been doing recently, and he wants to be a business partner and help him in his business ventures. So Norman agrees to meet with him for dinner, and they talk business. And as Norman's bragging about how much his company has grown and how successful he's been after the events of Secret Wars and Doomsday, he mentions that there are still some people who are very against him and who are noticing his corruption and trying to take him down, that being the Young Avengers. So Flag tells him, you know, been working on this thing for the last several years, and
Dude.
if you want, you can just throw them in my backyard in Salvation if you want, and they're never going to come back. So Norman thinks it's a great idea, and he agrees to help him.
Oh
But
man.
Flag wants some help in return because he wants the Teen Titans in Salvation because they've been hearing about what Argus has been doing for the last several years, and they're some of the only people left who have not been thrown in yet. So Norman and Flag team up to try to gather up all these people and try to throw them in Salvation. And the story would basically be the Young Avengers and the Teen Titans kind of being the only ones that are able to free everybody from Salvation, and as the ones who are able to rile everybody together, and they put them all in a group, and they all team up, and it's basically these young people like shattering the glass ceiling of what the doubters and haters have put in front of them, like not really thinking that they are like up to par or like as good as some of these other groups because they don't have like Superman or Batman or Iron Man or Cap, but they don't need them because they were able to figure it out themselves, and that's how it would go.
So they all team up along with everybody else in Salvation to escape Salvation.
Yep.
And they
Yep.
kind of free everyone else in the process who was already enslaved there, per se.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. That's a really great idea. And also, if that were to be possible, like that would be that wouldn't be a bad setup for Men of Tomorrow either.
True. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, man, that's a fire idea. And the way that you incorporate Norman into the mix makes perfect sense because like he doesn't need to be like a big part, you know, like he doesn't need to like be in the fight. You know, I like that it's more of Norman Osborn rather than Green Goblin.
Mm.
You know,
Mhm.
I mean, maybe like, you know, along the way, Norman can be like, okay, this is getting out of hand. I'm gonna hop in the suit to handle this myself, and then he can die a lot, you know, in
Yeah.
the fight.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's a fire idea. It takes like a lot of stuff that's already been established and a lot of stuff that people are wanting to come to fruition as well. So like it's a good mix.
True. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
So my movie is going to be a team up of Flash and Quicksilver versus Reverse Flash and Magneto.
Ooh. Oh wow.
And this is going to be in a branch reality where mutants do exist and Quicksilver doesn't die in Age of Ultron.
Mm. Okay.
So this movie can do the storyline where Magneto and Quicksilver are related, you know, father and son, and that can help convince Magneto to kind of help in the fight near the end of the movie because it's going to take all these guys to take down the world's biggest hater, Reverse Flash. And we can also adapt the storyline where Reverse Flash has been messing with Barry his whole life, and Barry tries to prevent the death of his girlfriend. But as Reverse Flash is trying to stop him from preventing the death of his girlfriend, and since I'm writing the movie, I get to make the rules. They're both in the Speed Force at the exact same time, trying to prevent the death of his girlfriend. And because they're both using like their maximum energy at the same time, it causes a rift in space-time that throws both of them in the MCU, but at different points in time.
Ooh.
So Barry lands in present-day MCU, and Reverse Flash lands in 1940s Nazi Germany. And because he's knocked into the MCU, his powers do not work. Same with Barry. And he needs to find a way to activate his powers again. So he's trying to find someone with powers in the MCU so he can bring him back. So who does he run into? A young Magneto. And this can kind of play out how the Sebastian Shaw X-Men First Class scene went, where if you don't use your powers, I'll kill someone you love type stuff, which causes Magneto to have that, you know, hatred towards humanity. But in reality, you know, it was actually Reverse Flash the whole time.
Ooh, I like that twist. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so not only has Reverse Flash been a villain to Barry his whole life, but now inadvertently, because of time travel and time messing with time, he's been a villain to Magneto his entire life as well. And also, because of I get to write the movie, Magneto's powers will make it so he can slow his healing whenever he wants, so he doesn't have to be a, you know, frail old man by the end of the movie. So back to Barry. He runs into Quicksilver and he's like, "Yo, no way! I used to be a speedster too. What the heck?" And he shows him like videos on his phone of him running just to prove it. Can't send text though. Different universe, no signal. Got to keep it consistent.
Yep, I like it.
So their whole plot, Quicksilver and Barry is Quicksilver is trying to help Barry find his powers again, and they can also bond over parent issues and stuff like that. You know, with Quicksilver having an absent dad in Magneto, and Barry losing his mom, and just parent issues and things like that. And Quicksilver can also have a small plot fighting villains who stole some Pym tech, so we can get him running around, jumping off stuff with different scales and spaces, size differences, speed. You know, I feel like that'd be cool visually. And these guys who he stopped were stealing Pym tech because the world is ending soon. Why? Well, the space crisis that the Thunderbolts alluded to in the post-credit scene.
Mm,
All right, so we're
okay,
picking that up.
okay.
So Magneto sees on the TV space crisis world ending question mark, and he's like, you know what? I think I need to go see my son before the world ends. World's ending. Like nothing else matters. So this whole time, Reverse Flash has never actually been able to make his powers come back again. So he's just been aging throughout time, and he's just a very frail old man. But he remembers meeting Magneto back in the day and that he had powers, but his powers didn't really help him activate his. So he's just been keeping tabs on him, seeing if anything else could happen. So he's got plastic drones watching Magneto, not metal ones, so Magneto can't do his stuff on it. And he sees that Magneto is with not just one speedster, but now two, because I'll say like 5 minutes before this reveal, Barry finds his powers again. So Reverse Flash has been waiting for this moment now his whole life, for like 80 years now, because he's just been living in the MCU waiting for a way to get back home and get his powers back before he dies, an old man. So now he has two speedsters in one singular location that he can go to. So since he's been waiting for this, he has teleportation tech to send himself to the exact location. And Barry is like, "Why are you here?" And Magneto's like, "Why are you here?" And Quicksilver's like, "Who is that dude?" He's never seen this guy in his entire life. He's a hidden Nazi general in the MCU history wise. He's not going to know who he is.
Yeah,
So he shows up and it's all weird, but to Quicksilver, he's just a frail old man. He has no idea who this guy is. So he's like, "Help me. I don't know what's going on. Help me." And he falls over, and Quicksilver, being the nice person he is, goes to try and catch him. When he comes in contact with Quicksilver, he siphons his power, using more tech to become Reverse Flash again. And they all duke it out, an insane sequence of metal, speed, all that stuff, but it takes all three of them to work together to take down Reverse Flash. And now Quicksilver, with the help of Barry, can access the Speed Force, and they reverse time to prevent the space crisis from ever happening in the MCU. And this can actually set up Doctor Strange 3, Time Runs Out, Quicksilver to do some more time bending stuff with running back in time, and Doctor Strange can also do some more time stuff. You know, it's a lot going on there, but fun idea.
that is really cool. I like that idea a lot. I'm really messing with that. That was pretty cool. I like how it all starts. Like the reason that they're there in the first place is try to like bring his girlfriend back, right, like you said. That's like kind of a consistent thing with a lot of like Marvel characters. In particular, I think of like the Doctor Strange What If episode where he tries to like keep reversing time and bring back his partner. And so I like how that's like kind of what gets them all into it in the first place. I love the idea of Magneto and Quicksilver being in it too. I think you did Magneto's character very well in that. Um,
Yeah, he's one of
I
my
like,
favorite characters. Like I've watched like so many videos just like breaking down the character. I watched the whole entire X-Men original series along with X-Men 97. We're definitely going to cover X-Men 97 season 2 for sure. So when that
yeah,
comes out, stay tuned for that. But yeah, man, I love Magneto. He's just probably one of the most complex fictional characters ever written, and he's like the way he parallels off of Charles Xavier alone is just like masterful writing.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's a good way to describe him as complex. He's a very complex character. One of the most like in Marvel for sure. And I think you wrote his character very well. I think you stayed true to that for sure. Um, and I love how you included the space crisis in it too. Like you kept it relevant to what's going on right now, and it's a very good setup for the future as well.
Yeah, it's
It
actually
makes a
not
lot
the
of
only
possibilities.
time I'm gonna do it either.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah,
we got the speedsters versus the ultimate hater speedster and one of their dads.
and one of the dads.
Yeah.
I love it, dude. I
Yeah,
love it.
and
So good.
also one thing that I kind of realized here as you were kind of explaining things from like how you saw it, so even though Barry wasn't able to save his girlfriend, he was able to help Quicksilver save his world with the space
Mm,
crisis thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. It gives him closure in some way, even though he can't like make things completely back to what they were. You know,
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot.
All right,
Yeah.
bro, hit me with your number two.
Okay, my number two is going to be Superman and Doctor Strange going up against Brainiac and Ultron.
Dude, that is money.
Basically, it's two of the most advanced artificial minds in the multiverse, and each of their multiverse, Brainiac and Ultron, trying to team up and take control of every living being on every variant of Earth in the multiverse and turning them all into their army to take over the entire multiverse.
So I guess you could call this, Crisis on Infinite Earths to take
Yeah,
off of that DC storyline
yeah,
a little bit.
yeah, for sure. So I think there could be so many cool visuals in particular in this movie. I think an Ultron and Superman fight would be so sick. I would want to see that really bad. Um, but as Superman said himself in the Superman movie, brain beats brawn. So Brainiac comes in as well, and he transfers his consciousness into a new suit designed off of Ultron's suit, off of his
Mm.
physical form. So it's basically two Ultrons fighting Superman at the same time, one of them being controlled by Brainiac and the other one being actual Ultron. And they basically just completely overwhelmed Superman, proving to him that he's no match for these two on his own.
Hmm.
He can't outpower them, he can't outsmart them, and so he resorts to the last thing he can think of: magic. Not the X-Men character, the
Nice.
the idea of magic. I don't really have a written out plot on how they could meet together,
Yeah.
but I think that Superman and Doctor Strange interacting together could be so much fun. I think they could be great like co-protagonists of the movie. I think David Cornsweet and Benedict Cumberbatch like on screen together would be awesome. I would love to see some scenes between them, like powers or no powers, just the two of them acting together.
Yeah, dude.
And I think that the final battle of this movie could be really awesome because I picture something like how Doctor Strange duplicated himself like several times over and over again to fight Thanos. He could do the same thing with himself and Superman, duplicate himself and Superman over and over again to go up against Brainiac, their army, Ultron, and a bunch of like Ultron bots or like Doombot Ultron bots. And it would basically be Superman, at least what we saw from Superman in 2025 movie. He seems like a pretty naive person, I would say. He definitely sees the best in everything. And I think that this movie, like him facing like the evils of what could actually happen, like if everybody on Earth gets manipulated and like turned into an army and becomes evil themselves, like what does he have to do to prevent that? So I think that Doctor Strange could really help him kind of like tap into the aggression and the style of Ultraman a little bit more, without like completely turning to the dark side. I think you could help him like find a good balance between that. Basically, this would end with Superman and Doctor Strange, with the help of the magic that Doctor Strange has and the powers that Superman has, overwhelming Ultron and Brainiac. And I would see this ending with Superman and Doctor Strange becoming, in the way that the Watcher is for the Marvel universe, they could be the like this two-headed monster that watches in between each universe, each like the
Mm-hmm.
DC and Marvel. They could be like kind of this gap in between to make sure
Yeah,
that nobody
yeah.
else like crosses
They're
over.
the bridge keepers.
Yes, yeah, 100%. Yeah, they could become the bridge
Yeah.
keepers for
Superman
DC
can
and
handle
Marvel.
the physical threats, and Doctor Strange can handle the interdimensional threats.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're completely right. But yeah, I mean, I think this would be a lot of fun. I think it could be a great team up between a more empathetic character we've seen like Superman and a more like tactical and knowledgeable scientific character like Doctor Strange.
And ready to sacrifice anybody, Doctor Strange.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so that would be a really cool clashes of personality for sure.
Yeah.
So our last movie here for a Marvel and DC team up, we have Star-Lord and Superman versus Super Skrull and Bizarro.
Ooh, I like it. Okay.
Yeah, so this will
Okay.
take place in a branch reality after the Superman Man of Tomorrow movie, but before Avengers Doomsday, because Star-Lord's currently on Earth. So
Mm.
we're gonna keep him there. And I do it after Man of Tomorrow because at the end of the Superman movie, obviously Ultraman, his clone, was sent in the black hole. And people were saying that could be Bizarro in the future. So I feel like having it take place after Man of Tomorrow like leaves enough time to elapse to where Bizarro could actually, come back properly.
Yeah, totally. It makes sense.
So the movie starts off with Star-Lord back at home with his grandpa, as we saw at the end of Guardians 3. And he gets a call from Nick Fury. We need your help, guy. Space crisis. I'm doing the Thunderbolts plotline again. So, Nick Fury needs Star-Lord to join the Avengers again to fight the threat. But Star-Lord's down, but he's like, why is Nick Fury calling me? Like, how does he even know about me? I like most of my stuff outside of, fighting in Endgame, I wasn't here. I haven't been on Earth. So why is he calling me? So he gets to the location that Nick Fury gives him, and it's just them two. And Nick Fury changes into a Skrull. But not just any Skrull. The strongest one yet. The Super Skrull. Combined with the powers of multiple Avengers. I haven't really thought about who, because that's a lot of work for me to cohesively weave into this whole simple idea. So let's just say 4 or 5 different traits from a few different Avengers and people like that to make him powerful. So Star-Lord's like, why do you want me? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. And the Super Skrull says, well, we have reason to believe that you're part Celestial. That means you're very powerful. And we like that. He's a we? What do you mean we? You speaking French? So Super Skrull takes him prisoner on their multi-dimensional spacecraft. And we see Bizarro in the big chair. And, over time, since Superman 1, like I said, he's become more powerful and capable. And he has Superman being held prisoner with kryptonite on the ship. And, we can have Star-Lord say, like, why does that guy look like you left cheese out in the sun? And Bizarro can be like, ironically, he would actually love some sun right now. Star-Lord is always going to, like, turn any serious situation into, like, something funny. So I got to weave that in there.
I like that.
So he throws Star-Lord into an interrogation room, asking him questions about his origin, torturing him. And he says, my dad, he was a Celestial, but he's dead. So I don't have access to that. I like that being on the planet that he made, that was the only way I could do it. So I killed him. So I can't do it. But Super Skrull and Bizarro, they think differently. See, they know about Star-Lord's adventures in saving Rocket Raccoon from a certain high evolutionary. If you watch closely, they did save him at the end of Guardians 3. So they kidnapped the high evolutionary before the movie even started. And they are going to force him to work on Star-Lord to speed up his evolution, making him a celestial being again, which Super Skrull will then absorb his powers, making him and Bizarro multiversal threats.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like that concept.
Yeah, and I also want to like work in some daddy issues into the plot between Star-Lord and Superman, like while they're like in jail together. Because like they both understand what it's like having confusing and dangerous father figures. I mean, just Superman, his dad sent him to Earth, and his dying wish was for him to rule Earth and kill anyone who doesn't want to mess with that. That was obviously very devastating to Superman, and he had to learn through his human dad that his actions mean way more than what that message means. And what he wanted that message to mean means way more than what it actually meant. So, what he learned from his Earth father, he was able to be a better person. So, he can give that kind of message to Star-Lord, being like, look, I understand that your dad only valued you because you had these certain things and he didn't really care about anything else, but there is a lot to care about you, and you've clearly shown that you care about a lot of other people. I mean, you saved your best friend, like that guy said about, you saving him from the high evolutionary. So clearly you're a good person. He'd be like, you know what? Damn, you're right. Okay. You know?
Yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So this movie can end in the final fight with Star-Lord actually sacrificing himself before the high evolutionary can fully complete his transformation in an attempt to free Superman from his kryptonite holding and allowing him to be able to take on Bizarro and Super Skrull in a fight. But obviously, them both together, it's going to be a lot for Superman to handle. And similarly to how stress can activate mutants to get their powers for the first time, Star-Lord sacrificing himself will activate his celestial powers because he was going to die, but that stress kind of activated something in him to go full celestial and join back in the fight, and then help Superman defeat Bizarro and Super Skrull, and then Doctor Strange, he can send them to the dark dimension,
Mm,
But yeah,
wow. I like that. I like that a lot. There's a lot to like there for sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Star-Lord and Superman would be a great duo. That would be a great combination. I mean, not only like with their powers and what they can do, but like you mentioned, like the experiences that they've had together, like each other have had, like they both have the daddy issues, like you mentioned. They can kind of relate on that. And I like the idea of like Superman using what he learned from his Earth dad to like kind of passing that on to Star-Lord and like helping him realize that as well. Yeah, man, that's cool. I was actually pretty surprised by the Nick Fury was a Skrull. That did kind of get me. That was
mhm.
surprising. I like that. I like that twist. That was good. Um, yeah, I mean, and that Skrull like having the powers of like multiple Avengers too would be insane. I want to see. I would want to see. I would want to see those fights between Superman and him for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and to
man, that's
see
awesome.
Star-Lord go like full celestial would be really cool too, because like
Yeah,
we saw in his fight with his dad on Ego, or I mean, how would you word that? Because like his dad is the planet, but he's also separate from the planet. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Anyway, so when he's fighting his dad, he makes himself Pac-Man at some point. Like we could get a lot of cool visuals with that, and
yeah.
Superman, kind of being like kind of a similar corny guy in a way too.
Mm.
We he could ask Star-Lord like, hey, can you make something like this in the fight? He's like, yeah, that, and then he can do that.
That would be so cool. I feel like they probably have similar tastes in music too. I think they could share that for sure.
Yeah, dude, and they're both directed by James Gunn, so James Gunn
Yeah,
can hop on
true.
this. Throw some punk rocker "Yes I Am" in there.
Man, that'd be so sick. That'd be so cool. I love that.
Yeah,
And I like how it's like kind of based around like Star Lord and his celestial powers too, because like you said, yeah, his dad is a celestial, so that power was passed down to him. He doesn't always have access to it, but it's still there. It's still, you can tap into it, and with a high evolutionary, like trying to speed up that process, I think is a really good point too. Yeah.
yeah, because he's such like a smart character. Like there's no way that he doesn't have some sort of use again in the MCU, especially with them showing that he survived.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a great way they could bring him back. Yeah, and like Skrull teaming up with Bizarro too would be so sick. I want to see the Bizarro so bad.
Yeah, me too. I don't really have like a way as to like why they're teaming up, but you know they're they're the space crisis.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
like it, man. Hell yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So if Marvel and DC can, hold hands for once, these are the type of movies we could get.
It'd be awesome, man. It'd be great. I'd love to see that someday.
You know, I just wish we could throw around 150 million just for fun.
Yeah, we'll take out a loan.
Yeah.
Just give us a quick 150 mil.
Yeah. So those are just some fun ideas that we wanted to throw at you guys. If you guys made it this far in the video, we heavily appreciate it. And drop a like if there's any other comments, or if there's any other topics that you want us to talk about, leave it down in the comments. We'll be happy to do a video on it. And if you like baseball, the World Series, it starts on Friday. We're very excited. We're going to be covering it, doing all sorts of breakdowns, theories, that sort of thing. So if you like baseball, stay tuned for that. And we'll be doing a bunch more Marvel and DC stuff as well. So if you like this video, we'll be doing many more. And we have many more videos like this on our channel as well if you want to check those out. We just finished covering Peacemaker. So if you like Peacemaker, we covered all 8 episodes, including the interesting finale. So yeah, this has been the Sci-Fly Zone, where the multiverse meets the 7th inning stretch. Hope you guys have a good one. See ya.